All right. So, welcome to another edition of our GoBrunch Talk Show, where we focus the actual people using GoBrunch and show you a bit about their rooms and what they're doing inside. I'm excited today because Jessica is joining us. I've known Jessica for a little while now. Jessica's been doing GoBrunch. How long have you been on GoBrunch?
I think we really dove deep in March of 2024. So I had the software the November prior, but I was like, this is a lot. So I was trying to figure it out, and then March I was like, oh, this is so fun. I shifted from this is a lot to this is the best thing ever.
Oh,
So
cool. So you're just have your like 1 year anniversary on
yeah,
GoBrunch just now.
yeah.
So congratulations.
Thank
All
you.
right, well, let's get into it. I can't wait to show you Jessica's rooms and see how Jessica's using GoBrunch for her business. So Jessica, why don't you start off by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do for your business?
Sure. So my name is Jessica Dugas. I am a talk show host, international best-selling author, and how everything sort of started with my business is I had written a story. It was a part of a compilation book, and the book became a bestseller. And everybody else that was part of that book sort of had a business. They had things that they were already working towards. And while I was doing some mentoring, some life coaching type stuff before, it um wasn't anything that I was like super fired up about. So when the book became a bestseller, I was like, what am I going to do now? I don't know what to do with myself. And so I realized through writing that story that sharing stories was such something that was really important to me, how it helps us to improve our own lives, bring people together. And it was a great way to share information with people and help people improve their lives just by sharing our stories and sharing space together to do that. So that's when my show, the Breakthrough Show, was born. And then fast forward a little bit to 2019. I had gotten really sick, and I had built this audience, and I have this show, and I'm like, but I can't show up on camera. What do I do now? And so I had some friends that were interested in starting shows of their own, live stream type shows. And so I said, hey, would you be interested in me helping you with that? And let me take a break off camera. And so we went from a show to a network of shows. And now that's what I help people do, is start their own talk shows and create a little brand around their show. And it's been a lot of fun. So that's what we've been doing now since 2018.
Cool. And how are you using GoBrunch to help you with that?
So we kind of have been through many different platforms throughout the years. I knew that it wasn't enough for me to have these shows and then people watch for an hour. Now they're motivated. Now they're inspired about their life. And then they go on about their day. And nothing's really implemented or anything like that. So we had tried some different community type models where we wanted to bring people together after the show to actually implement some of these personal development type things that we were talking about on the shows, and none of them really worked for us. It was either issues with people had to download something, they didn't want to download something, they maybe were older, in an older demographic, they really didn't understand it, or there was any number of things that we came up against. And then I had a customer service issue with another big company that I won't name. And so um, I was kind of a little community orphan over here. I was like, what are we going to do? And then I found out about GoBrunch, and I was like, this is perfection, because it enabled us to all get together. You don't have to download anything specific. You just put your name in and that's it. You could be on camera or not, which solved that issue as well. It's not complicated. And it really serves those of us who are creatives, because as you can see, we're coming into this beautiful space. It's inspiring. It sparks creativity, and it's all been history from there. So we use it as an extension of our shows, an extension of our community, and a way to bring us together outside of those 30-minute to an hour shows where you're not just being motivated and then moving on, you're actually starting to implement that stuff and get to know a community around you.
Hmm. Well, why don't you take us into your GoBrunch rooms and we'll start to see how your GoBrunch rooms help your business.
Sure. So I'm going to start with, I'm a little biased, but it's my favorite space, which is my office.
Okay, let me just expand the
um,
window here.
yes. So I love this space because, well, you'll see in most of the rooms that I really love purple. It's in my, and I think Marissa does too. I think you like purple as well, if I remember correctly. But I love the purple. But it gives me an opportunity to have somewhere to sit. There's several of our hosts on the network that also have offices in our Go Brunch community, and so I think what I wanted to show with this space is that one of the things that I noticed with people that are entrepreneurs or working at home, there's an element of loneliness that can happen there. We're not going into an office. There's not a water cooler to go, have your lunch and everything else. And so I think it's really nice just to have an office space, a space to work where even if you're not necessarily meeting with someone, you're thinking, oh, okay, there's someone else working in the building with me. I'm not alone, and having that community sort of feeling.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what you put in here. So I see that you've
Sure.
got your logo up there, so you've branded the room. And then
Yes.
what are these two little placards up on the wall?
So I have this one on the bottom here is from the Weiss Scholarship Foundation. One of the things that we do each month is give back in some kind of way, and that is an organization that we donate to as a network every single month, which helps send children to school in Dago, Africa. So we have that on the wall to remind me of that. And then I also have my little certificate up there from when I took the class when I got Go Brunch about how to organize and design the spaces. So I like to put my little certificates up in here. And I also will point out while we're here, so our Go Brunch is built into our website.
Yeah.
So on every single page, up at the top here, we have our whole menu. We have the Explore the Community, where you can go to all of our different spaces. We have all of our events here, registration, our current hosts, lots of things that they can do up there. And then at the bottom in my office, they can also find my office hours. They can page me, which sends me a text message, and they can also book a meeting and stuff like that as well. So it's nice that I can keep my rooms like clutter free and have some of the stuff outside because I get really easily distracted.
Yeah, and so that is a feature that GoBrunch you can do. You can embed it on a WordPress or some of the other platforms. I've tried it with ours, which is Simplero. You can embed it into the rooms, and then, like Jessica said, you can then have a series of menus. Keep your branding out of there. Just one thing. So when you click on, so are your certificates an image in the room? So when you click on it, you can actually see.
Yeah. So
Cool.
you
So
can
that's another of those features with the images. When you add an image into the room, people can click on it and they can see a bigger version of that. Is also the card on your desk, is that one of those images that you can pop up?
This one is not because at first it was, but Canva, when we do an embed from Canva, like you can either it can do one of two things. It can either link you somewhere or it can get bigger. Like it can't be it can't be both,
Okay.
unfortunately. But that's why I put the big one down, a bigger version down here so people can see it just a little bit better than that. But I just still thought it was cute on my desk.
It is cute. And if you wanted to use it as an image, you could do it the same way that she's done the certificates, because then you could have like a how to contact me, how to book. There's a lot of like interesting things that you could do with that in there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then what do you use this room? Like what do people come in here and meet with you for?
Any of the meetings that I used to use the old software that I talked
Yep.
about for, I have in this room. So when I book a meeting with someone, they're in here. And then, like I said, sometimes I just need to feel like I am working with other people. I'm in an office building. I need to like, I don't know what it is. It's like a subconscious thing that's like, hey, you're in your office now, get to work. And so
Mhm.
I come in, I will sit here and I will work, and maybe nobody's even in here, but it reminds me, hey, you're at work. Get off the Facebook.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing that happens, is a little bit of a phenomena. Being able to come in and set your little avatar into a chair or at a
Right.
desk, and your brain is just like, okay, now I'm working. Even though you might be doing that even at your home, there's just something about it, about coming into that And then when you're meeting with someone, there's a bit of a formality that happens when we're sitting there, as opposed to kind of just the Zoom. I feel like that happens. And this is an alternative to Zoom. I will say it out loud. And because what we're doing is we're creating that meeting space and we're creating that connection point. So if you've been using something like Zoom or some of the other alternatives and finding, okay, but I can't brand it. I can't. And
Right.
yes, you can use backgrounds on Zoom and do all that kind of stuff to get some of the branding in. But we can see that Jessica's really put in some detail. Like you said, you like purple is your color. You have the certificates on the wall. You have the potential to have your business card pop up and have people be able to do it. We've seen other rooms where people have like their booking links in here. It really just allows you to have this space where it's like, here's my virtual office. Come in and see me.
Right. And I wanted to say too, so my actual desk that I'm sitting at used to be faced the other way. And that plaque that you see on the wall is also on the wall in my
Nice.
office. And one time someone noticed that when they came in here to meet with me, they noticed, they were like, do you have that same plaque on the wall behind you? And I said, yes, I really strive to set up my virtual spaces as if it's someplace that I would want to be in, you know?
Perfect.
And so, so I love that someone noticed that once, like what you're seeing is actually me.
And I love that you've incorporated that because, we've used AI to generate some of these images to create
Right.
our rooms, and that's cool. But being able to put in those personalized touches that really allow people to feel like they're connecting with you, Jessica, the person,
Yes.
instead of just this kind of manufactured world, I think that really helps to bring those touches in. So that's cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's show us one of your other rooms.
All right. I'm going to take you over to our Breakthrough Archives room. So there's a lot of different things in here, and in fact, I need to do some updating every now and then. But you can see some of our hosts over on the left side in the pictures, and again, those are ones that you can click on and blow up and
Nice.
see the hosts. And then also over on the right, you see our plaque again that we have because that's important to us. And then also in the middle, you see images of different things. So you can click on them. It shows some of our award winners that we have breakthrough awards that happen every year. And
Fantastic.
then all of these are past shows and past seasons that you can click on, and it will take you to the YouTube playlist of those different shows.
So what you've done is you've embedded links on those images to take you to the YouTube. That's
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. So we have obviously our website where people can go and watch all the past episodes, but if they're already here in the community, and that's one thing that I wanted to share, it's not a bad thing to repeat maybe some stuff in your GoBrunch space that you already have going on your website, because
Mhm.
anytime people have to make one less click, I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
And so if they're already in the community and they want to go watch a show, they can just come over here and click on that playlist instead of having to go open another tab and open the website and then open the show and all of that. And so I think it's nice to be able to put those links right in a room so that they don't have to go somewhere else.
I think the way you've done it too with the images, it's like a little bit of an Easter egg. So it gives, inspires creativity and curiosity to click on something. You might not know to go look at past episodes until you click on a book and bring it out, or an album. I'm not sure what what is it?
They look like little books, but I mean, it sort of reminded me too of like when we would have the old VHS tapes that would have
Yeah,
like
for sure.
multiple tapes in there, and it was this fat thing that sat on the shelf. So I
Yeah.
love that too.
It's the blockbuster wall.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it from now
Yeah.
on in honor
Yeah.
of Marissa.
That's right. So yeah, and that's cool. So I like that you've done that. It adds a little bit of visual element. What do you use this room for? Like, what do people come in here and use?
This one is just here again if people want to come check out, the different hosts,
Okay.
maybe they want to see some of the awards. And so it's not something that we necessarily plan events in or anything, but it is here as an option to access these things instead of going to the website if they're already here.
I like it. So it's more of a gallery display wall, and that's
Yeah.
what you've used it for. That's
Yeah.
great.
Absolutely. All right, shall we go to another space?
Yeah.
All right. So this is one of my favorite spaces in the whole community. This is our virtual gym, and
Okay.
I'm on the treadmill right now getting my steps in.
Yeah.
But so I'll share with you what happened. So we started, as I said, the community back in March, really gung-ho creating all the spaces. And I knew I wanted a virtual gym. I just thought it would be fun. I am not a person that likes to go to the actual gym, but I was in a place where I was getting ready to incorporate some more movement into my daily routine. And so in June of last year, a couple friends and I had said, okay, we're going to hold each other accountable and we're going to come on every morning and we're going to do some sort of movement. And
Cool.
so for the longest time, I was sitting down there on the yoga ball because I was not doing a whole lot of movement then, but we come in this space every morning. And so it has now been, at the time of this recording, 227 days in a row that we have
Wow.
been coming into the space in the morning, and everybody does their own thing. So one of the things that we built in up here, we have a welcome message that talks about, we have 2 different quiet times per day where you can focus on your movement and not people talking and interrupting your workout. So it
Yep.
talks about that. And then we also have a choose your workout. So we have lots of different
Nice.
options here if you don't already have a workout that you want to do. And then there's some of them that just like this one just has music. If you just want to step around your living room or whatever, you could do that. And so this is becoming one of the most used spaces. And I'm very excited because next week we are going to be having a once a month Ask the Trainer as well. I have a friend of mine that's a fitness expert, and she's going to be coming in and answering fitness questions. So it's going to be it's one of the most used rooms, at least most often at this point, and it's a lot of fun for people.
And I like that you've left the chat happening there, so you can say like 228, like you're keeping track. People are also posting in what they're doing.
Yes.
So it's a nice little bit of an accountability using the chat for that.
Yes.
And you do have the option, if everyone's watching this and wondering, you have the option to that the chat can clear out every day after people leave it, or you can have it where it's in here. I personally like to leave it in here because it's like proof of life.
Yeah.
You've seen who has been in the room, even if you weren't in here. It kind of gives that people a sense of like, okay, I can be in here and other people are going to be popping in at any minute.
Right. And I think too, so with a lot of the rooms I go through like about once a month, and I'll clear the chat because sometimes things just are, it's old. We talked about it a long time ago. But rooms like this I love because it gives us an opportunity, like you said, to hold each other accountable. And if someone can't come at the time of something too, it doesn't make them feel left out. Like they might have missed an event, but they're like, oh, and we'll answer them back in the chat too, so that the next time they come in, they go, oh, someone acknowledged that I was here. That was really nice. And so I think people appreciate that as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that you can put in the chat like, hey, future person, we missed you. Can't wait to see you again. Glad if you showed up, give us a high five, and then you can have that. And that can be a way of having that connection when you're on different time zones and different, that kind of stuff.
Yes, I love that for sure. So this is one of my favorite space. It's the one that I use a whole lot. And like I said, we've had a ton of people come and join us in here. And it is actually on the heels of we had a very good friend of mine, Dorothy, who's a poet, and she passed away, unfortunately, a couple years ago. But she had written this poem called "For Love," and before she passed away, she had arranged for everybody to get together every day. Her time, she was in Brussels, so that was like 1 p.m. her time. Meanwhile, it's 7 a.m. here in the United States, on the East Coast. And so she started this, and we were getting together every day. And when she passed away, myself and a couple of friends of hers wanted to continue that. And so we've been every day for about 2.5 years reading her poem at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And so the workout that we do coming in at 7:15, it's just the perfect little flow. You can be in Dorothy's room, which we have another room in here dedicated to her, and we read the poem and then head over to the gym and get our sweat on. So it's a nice little flow to be able to go from space to space,
Cool. So the other thing I'd like to point out is that I can see you have the semi-opaque circles in a variety of spots in the gym. And I think it's really interesting you had said something like for a while you were kind of just sitting on the ball for a while. But I think it also gives the people the opportunity to be in the room if they just need to be in the room and
Yeah.
without necessarily being on a treadmill. And I know that some people watching this might be like, oh, but it's just a virtual space. Like it doesn't really matter where your circle is.
Mhm.
It really does when you start to become part of the community in GoBrunch. People are in my community, they choose certain colors of chairs. They like to be in certain positions in the room. Some people really like to be on a couch. And I think offering those kind of variety in the spaces here, you've got couch, you've got the stairs, you got the ball, you got the mat. It allows people to really communicate to everyone else in the room where they're at today.
Right.
And it allows them to still be a part of the community, even if they are feeling like they just can't get on that treadmill. And that's
Right.
okay too. And so it allows you to have a variety of these like experiences for people, but also just an alternate communication tool so that you kind of know where people are at.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I agree with you. I think, look, there's days when I came in before I started my routine where I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't
Yeah.
feeling like I wanted to do anything. So I would just come and be supportive and come and sit over here on the couch and
Yep.
just be like, this is what I'm doing. And it does something, like you said, it may not seem to matter at first, but we even have, I have one of our, show hosts and event hosts, Teresa, she has a certain place that she likes to sit when in another space I'm going to show you here in a second. And anytime somebody comes before her and sits in that seat, I think to myself, oh, they better move because that's Teresa's seat, you know?
Yep. Yeah, some of our rooms that people have used a lot, we've labeled their chairs or labeled coffee cups where they sit. And those things matter when we're building community, right? It's recognition that the people in our community matter.
Yes, absolutely. And GoBrunch has so many different ways for us to do that for people. When we had our last award ceremony in December, everybody that RSVP'd, I labeled their seat. And so it was so special for them to come in and be like, oh, they thought of me. There's my name. I'm going to go sit in my seat. And so I think people really appreciate those thoughts.
Yeah. All right, let's check out another room.
All right. So this is another one of my favorite spaces. This is our Soul Coffee Cafe. So fun fact, I have been hosting a meeting called Soul Saturday Morning Coffee every single Saturday since 2016, since
Wow.
before the Breakthrough Show. I think I was a little bit before the COVID online time,
Okay.
before my time a little bit, where I just wanted to connect with people, that I was meeting a lot of people online and I just wanted to have connection, friendships, conversation, and deeper conversation, ones that we don't always make the time to have. And so, again, similar to other communities that we tried, we bounced from space to space. So obviously we included a coffee cafe in our space, but on Saturday mornings, every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, we get together and I pose a question to the community, everybody that comes, and you can see
Yeah.
we had a
You've
little
got an interesting
conversation.
question there. Yeah.
We had it was such an outside of the box. We were talking about love because this is the time when we really expand on some of the things that we talk about during the shows throughout the week. On Saturdays, we can go, okay, on this episode, we talked about love, which was our topic this last week. And so we're going to expand on that. And let me ask some questions to you guys. So I'll ask them the questions and then, however much fills up the hour time, but we do lock the doors, which is another really great feature.
Yeah.
We lock the doors at 5 minutes, it's 9:35, because what I realized is that we get into really deep conversation and intimate conversation and personal conversation during this hour. And, if someone is mid tears or mid, something
Right.
really personal, I feel like it's very distracting and borderline disrespectful to just have someone coming charging in. So it's nice to be able to start the community and then lock the doors so that we can have that safe space for people that are attending different things.
I'm starting to lock the doors on our workshops as well.
Mm.
As much as I know that it can be stressful and sometimes you're 5 or 10 minutes late, it can actually be really disruptive, especially if
Right.
people haven't, got the housekeeping stuff at the beginning or the workshop, the downloads, and then to have to stop the experience for everybody else to catch up the person who's 10 minutes in. And
Right.
so we're basically just like, if you missed it, better luck next
Yeah.
time, and try to like let people know that the doors will be closed. I think it's an
Right.
interesting option. And like you said, especially if you're doing something where there's just, you're in a moment, you're
Right.
experiencing emotion, having someone new come into that room can be really disruptive. And never mind that like that person might, not everybody understands that it's not about them. They'll be posting in the chat, sorry, I'm late, like doing the
Yeah.
whole, main character energy thing. And it's just like, no. And so I love that feature too about GoBrunch where we can
Yeah.
lock the door. What would happen is if somebody, the one thing that is a little interesting is you'd get the knock on the door as a
Right.
person, but only the host would hear it, I think. Or any of the moderators in the room, I think, is the one
Yeah,
who heard the
I'm
door.
the only one that hears when someone knocks. And like I did in the other room, I did put a little welcome note that they're actually this past week because of that issue, because some people will come in and that they don't understand why the door is locked. So they refresh,
Yes,
and it's like
and you just
knock,
get the
knock, knock, knock,
constant
knock, knock.
knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Jessica's embedded this room within her website. So just scroll up again. We'll just show
Yeah.
you can have this kind of additional messaging before they get to the room, which is definitely an advantage. Yeah.
Right. Right. And I try to be like, I appreciate everybody trying to attend, but I do feel very strongly that I want to be respectful to the people that are there and give them that space to be vulnerable. Or with spaces like this or events like this, they're not going to come back if they don't feel safe to share.
Right.
And so it's important to honor those people, I feel like, that are there, on time and ready to open up their hearts.
And as someone who like regularly is in chaos and is often like 5 or 10 minutes late, honestly, creating those spaces and creating those boundaries is really refreshing. And I think the online world, the Zooms, the come in whenever you feel like, it has almost given us this permission to stretch those boundaries. But when we actually talk about creating connection with people and having a really great experience for the event, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense to put these around there.
Yeah, I agree. We also have on the wall, I'll point out the last thing. It's another button that they can go to. This, when they click on that, it takes them to our WhatsApp community. So
Nice.
where they get, only thing I put in the WhatsApp is notifications of like, when are the shows, when are the events, what room do you need to go to, that sort of thing. So if they come in, if they're one of those people that are like, I never remember that we have coffee, well, click that button right there,
Right.
and you'll remember.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. So if you're thinking about creating an online show or an online broadcast using GoBrunch where people can come in live, I think that's a great opportunity to say, hey, don't forget to join our WhatsApp. So you're always, we let you know 10 minutes before to get in the room before the doors are, or the minute before the doors are locking, just to remind you that you can. So I think it's a really great having those multiple layers of communication.
Right. I agree. All right. I have one more spot that I will show. So this is another one that is really fantastic. Another one of my favorite spaces. Oh, I didn't show my camera in here. Let's do that. All right. So this is our host meeting room, and I have a few things going on in here. So once a month, we have our host meetings for anybody that hosts events within our community or hosts a show on the network. And the purpose of these meetings is, one, I always love a reason just to reconnect. Sometimes I've been a part of other networks before I had my own, and I didn't know anybody else that had shows. I don't know what they were doing. It just was very disconnected. And so this is an opportunity for us to get together, share what's going on in our different shows, ask for advice about our shows. Do we want to present something differently? Does anybody need a guest? I share a lot of things with my hosts about, things that maybe they don't know that are going on behind the scenes of the network. If we have, like, for example, we have the World Building Expo that we participate in with GoBrunch and everything. And so we talk about those kind of things in our meetings. And so when they come in this space, this room, by the way, is passworded. I'll mention that. So only people that can get in here are the hosts. And there's a image on the wall that will take them to our calendar, so they can always come in and get the calendar. And then there's another button that will go to their host assets. So I create graphics for them and videos for them that everybody has access to, and they can always come here and access it that way. In addition, another thing that we built into this space is a little notepad over to the left. So they can put in, they don't even have to open up another screen. They can put in their name, their date, their email, any notes that they take from the meeting. And when they click that send button, it emails them their meeting notes.
Very cool.
So love that. So that's what
I see. Also like host assets. That's another button. So that goes into like a special space for them to have.
This is it goes to the Google Drive folder that I have all those images and videos and stuff that I make for them. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll just point out that at this point, you can't just insert an image and put a link to it, although that might be something we add to GoBrunch's menu, but you can do that through the developer tools that we've talked about before with Claudio. So there is a way that you can do that pretty easily if you know a little bit about HTML. If not, we'll probably show you in future updates how you can do it, but maybe we'll add it on to GoBrunch's upcoming, because I think adding a link to an image would be a great and easy way for them to help us do that.
Yeah, right now you have to like embed it, and yeah, it's and what I noticed is sometimes when you embed something, the sizing is a little bit wonky, so you have to adjust. It's a little bit of adjustment, but it's not horrible. It's nothing like as hard as I thought it was going to be. I really convinced myself in the beginning that this was going to be too much for me, and it wasn't. So
great. We love that. And then how many seats do you have in here? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think we have about 8 in here, but we're going to have to expand now.
Okay.
We're expanding spaces in here. And then also in coffee, we're maxed at seats in Saturday morning coffee. And so we are at that expansive point, but I love how easy it is to add a seat, even if you're like maxed out and you forgot somebody, which happens sometimes, right before you just click the button, add another seat, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it's great. The new update where it doesn't it changes the room for everybody without them having to refresh is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, it is super easy. If you were the host, you can just open up your menu and then select, just copy paste another seat, and then allows. If you didn't have enough seats and somebody is at the door, they would basically just say, like, they would see the room and they would see that there isn't, but you could quickly add that. One thing that we don't know as a host is we don't necessarily know that there's somebody waiting to seat. So part of it is being conscious. I try to always keep a few extra seats that I need, but again, it's super easy to do. But it is something to think about when you're designing rooms too. So you've got a whole bunch of seats, and of course the picture you can't really necessarily control. You've got those seats, but you could make smaller circles so that everybody can be on a seat visually. But if you're doing something that's like an in-person talk like this, these circles are really great because people can go on Circle Cam and you can kind of see their facial features. Anything smaller, it gets a little weird. You just have all these kind of slightly moving circles. So one of those things that's interesting to consider is when you're designing your room, how many people are going to be in the room? Do I want them all to be on Circle Cam or sharing the big cam? What does that look like from the way I, position my chairs, or if I even have chairs at all? If you do have big rooms, I think there's a capacity that you can have 400 or 700 people now in a room.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So it's the kind of thing you want to think about. Well, maybe seats is a little unrealistic at all, because then, I won't be able to like spread it out, or I won't be able to have the size of circles that I want. So these are things that are going to be, I'm sure, as you expand your room in here, it'll be like, okay, do I want everybody to sit in a seat? Do I want more of a kind of a free floating space? But I do like that you brought a little boardroom feel in here. It's like this lovely exclusive meeting room.
Yeah. And I always take into account too, as much as I possibly can, who's going to be using the space. Some of us, they're going to kill me for saying this, but some of us that are hosts are in the bifocal club. And so we prefer the larger circles, which is why the circles are larger in here. And I'm like, I just can't see your face when it's so small. And so, so I hear my hosts when they say to me, Jessica, I can't see the people. And so I just make the circles bigger for them.
Yeah. And it was interesting. I was just creating a room for someone, and I was going between like 75 and 95 of a circle diameter. And I'm like, oh, the 95 is nice, but it's a little too big for this room. And I was like, I'm like sitting there thinking like, oh, wow. Like is this my life now where I'm like thinking about circle diameters? But it does matter. Circle diameters do matter.
They do.
And we're here to talk about it. But it is interesting because it's like you want to think about the purpose of the room. You showed us the Blockbuster room, and the circles can be smaller because people might not necessarily be in there. They're in there to watch. They're not necessarily there to communicate with other people. But in a room like this, where you've got this really great intimate space for your hosts, you want to make sure that they can connect with each other and see those facial expressions. So
Right.
yeah,
It's important. I
matters.
think, right. I think it, that's such a beautiful thing about GoBrunch is every room, every space really does have a unique purpose. And because of that unique purpose, we're able to go, okay, like what is the best circle size? Who's going to be using this room? What is the point of what we're doing here? And so there's all those features that we can put in that speak to that space, and you're not going into this generic Hollywood Squares game where you get the same thing every time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's come back into the talk show room here, and we'll talk a little bit about how you use GoBrunch. So first of all, I always like to ask people, what's your favorite aspect of GoBrunch?
Oh, I just love the creativity of it. One of my favorite things that I've gotten to do is create the office spaces for my other hosts that speak to who they are as a person. I pride myself. I think I've gotten really, really good at it of just taking who I know this person is and making their office and their lobby embody who they are. And they're always quick to be like, "Oh, Jessica, you don't have to make me one. It's like a lot of work." And I'm like, "No, it's so much fun for me." And so I love the aspect of creating and making a space. If the person was a space, that's who they are.
I love that too. We actually were just talking with Richard, the owner of GoBrunch, who about doing a video of like the top, like top 10 office spaces of GoBrunch. And so I might be tapping with you, like get a few of your hosts to showcase, because more and more people are using the space as a one-on-one connection, and having your personality, having that reflected. I know in our community, we're thinking about doing like a little hallway, and you could just like knock on everybody's, door, basically have a little link on each door. And so you can actually go in and have office hours, and maybe what we'll schedule, everybody goes in their offices for an hour, or maybe you're out, visiting other people. And it's a great way for the Catalyst to kind of connect and have like a one-to-one. And because we can set that up as, if whether they have, a lot of my Catalyst members have their own GoBrunch now, but setting it up for our hosts that's a benefit. That's something you built into your business now. Have your own, office where you can meet with your guests prior to the show. I can see there's things that you can do where you set up the studio, you set up the broadcast station, those kind of things where people can go in and use these tools. They now become benefits for your business and reasons why people want to work with you.
Yeah, it's become really great because it like you said, it's another thing that I can add when my hosts come in and start a show, or they want to host an event or something. And I'm like, now you've got this space that you can use. And I have people now getting rid of other programs because they have no need for them anymore. Yeah. Everything is in this space, which is really great. And so, and a lot of my hosts, they do other things, right? They have their own businesses. They have their own things that they do. And so this is GoBrunch has been a way for them to tie the two things together. This is what I do in my business, but then I also host these events and shows. But look, we can meet together here, and everything's in one space.
Yeah, I love that. And what's your future plans for GoBrunch, and what are you thinking about building next?
Oh my gosh, I have to stop myself. Can I just say that?
Yes, we can have GoBrunch Room Anonymous, where
can we do
the building of rooms, we kind of work each other through it. We're never going to stop. We know that, but sometimes we can build too many rooms and we don't necessarily go into the business of getting people in them. I recognize that.
Yeah, so we actually have one space that's an escape room.
Yep.
And no one has done it because it's so hard, because I made it so hard that when they solve the escape room, there is actually one room that the only person that's been in there is me, because when you solve the escape room, you get access to that room, but nobody can solve the escape room.
Okay.
So
all right.
we need to figure that out. But I don't know. I think I continue to be, like I said, really inspired by creating of these office spaces for the different people in our community. I also one of our rooms, our workshop room, changes often. I change the background of that room every time we have a workshop, as opposed to having a new workshop space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the and so I love to continue to like rework that room depending on who's doing the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I don't know what we'll do next. I think it's just going to depend on which direction we go. I do want to change up. We have rooms similar to this that are meant to do show recordings in, but I haven't really used them yet because most of our shows are live. So I
Mm-hmm.
think next we're going to do some recorded stuff and implement the use of those rooms, and we'll see how that goes, because this is fun too.
I love it. Anything else you'd like us to know about you, your business, or GoBrunch before we sign off for today?
I think I would just say, like, if you're somebody that's a creative person, first of all, this is for you. Like, you don't even need to go, you don't have to listen to even the whole show. Just go brunch. But I think I will say too that we're always looking for people that are looking to inspire other people. Even if you already have a show, we love to do simulcasting between shows and networks and things like that. So definitely reach out, and you can reach me on my website, or just go to my office and hit the book a meeting button.
And what's your website, Jessica, before we sign off?
You can go to thebreakthroughshownetwork.com.
There we go. Thank you so much, Jessica, for coming in and showing us your rooms. I'm excited about what you're doing. I love what you're creating. I always like popping in to see what you're up to next. So thank you very much for being here. And if you are thinking about going and getting GoBrunch, absolutely see below the descriptions on our YouTube channel and anywhere that you're watching this. Thank you very much for being here. And I can't wait to show you some of the other rooms that we've got coming up. Oh my goodness. Wait till you see what the GoBrunchers are up to. Thanks very much for being here. Have a great day.
Thank you.